Good afternoon and welcome inside Bojangles Coliseum. The Charlotte Checkers Rochester Americans game number 2 on the weekend. Last night a big 6-0 win over the Rochester Americans as the Checkers look to try and do it once again. He's Miles Conrad, PA announcer of Bojangles Coliseum and the Charlotte Checkers. I'm TJ Chillot, play-by-play voice. And Miles, if you have to just give a real quick summary of last night's game, what do you think that was about?
Yeah, TJ, it was pure effort. And we saw Coach Jordy Kinnear speak about that after the game last night, right? Pure effort. It was a grinded-out game for the first 2 periods, right? A 1-0 lead in the first, 2-0 lead in the second. Blew the doors wide open in the third, and we saw the Checkers that we've known all season, but they had to grind to get there.
Yeah, instead of talking about it, let's go ahead and roll the highlights and show you what happened last night. And really, it was a huge night for a couple of youngsters. Reese Gaber, 2 goals and an assist on the night. Ben Steves had a goal and an assist. Each of those gentlemen with 3 total points on the night. And you'll obviously have to talk about Ken Appleby, his second shutout of the season. Turned aside 19 total shots as the Charlotte Checkers now have shut out their last 2 opponents. They shut out Iowa. It was a 3-0 win last Saturday, 6-0 last night, and the Checkers are looking to continue that 120 minutes of scoreless hockey against here tonight. So as we take a look back a little bit deeper to last night, outside of the effort, some of your thoughts or some of the things that kind of stuck out to you?
TJ, what's really stuck out to me this season is goaltending, of all things. Whoever's put in goal, the defense is bailing them out when they need to, but every goaltender has been solid this year. We've seen Drieger, Cooper Black, and then last night, Ken Appleby with his second shutout of the season, also getting effort and production on the score sheet from all angles of this team, right? Obviously, Reese Gaber, a massive game last night, 2 goals and an assist. He was on fire, and I think he's going to keep that moving into today.
Yeah, and honestly, one of my keys to the game last night was to get some of those guys to step up. You know, we saw goals from Okuliar and Vilmanis and a couple of guys that, yeah, they get on the score sheet, but not every single game. You know, one of my points was you can't rely on Criscolo, you can't rely on Leonard, you can't rely on these guys that have been getting it done, Carrick, constantly, to weather this storm of all the injuries that the team has at that forward group. And we got to see a lot of those youngsters. Skoog is a guy who's a little bit underperforming, I think, this year, comparatively speaking to last year, gets on the board. Dalpy in his 3rd game of the year gets his first point. I think guys really rose to the occasion, and it's something that's going to kind of carry through here to tonight. So I want to go ahead and take a look at my Hendrick Acura keys to the game for tonight's game. And number 1, sleeping giants. And what I mean by this is I think both the Charlotte Checkers and the Rochester Americans are sleeping a little bit. And what I'm really talking about is for the Charlotte Checkers, I don't think their head is anywhere close to the ceiling yet, which is incredible to say. This is a team that's got 11 wins. This is a team that has only lost a handful of games in regulation this year. They have earned points in almost every game. I think the Checkers really are still a little sleepy, and they're going to turn it on at one point. At the same time, Rochester, I don't think that was a true example of the Rochester Americans team that they put on the ice last night. I think they're a much better team than what we saw. I think that was an off night and a result of them having played 2 games last weekend, a game on Wednesday, traveling Thursday, coming to Bojangles Coliseum and playing last night. I think they're a little tired. I think they're a little sluggish. You got to be wary of them coming out and packing a punch in this game. So the Checkers need to be in tune with that. So that was my first key, sleeping giants. Number 2, block shots. One thing in the game last night, the Checkers, 19 shots on goal. Those were 19 shots that made their way into Ken Appleby. There were many, many more that were stopped on the way. Checkers need to keep that up. Matt Kierstead doing a great job blocking shots. Merrick Alsher doing the same thing. So those D-core guys, even the forwards, doing a really nice job blocking shots. Need to keep that up. And number 3, flip side of last night, you know, they got the depth scoring last night. I want to see a little more out of the stars. I want to see Criscolo. Yes, he had an assist last night. I'm not trying to cut him down, but I want to see him maybe have a 2-goal game. I want to see John Leonard get back on the score sheet. He had a 4-game point streak going into last night that was snapped. I want to see some of those guys, your top line, your stars, I want to see them be stars in this game. So those were my Hendrick Acura keys to the game. And what are your thoughts going forward about tonight's matchup?
TJ, I think it's a very interesting matchup. Obviously, we're going to get a much better effort from Rochester tonight. We could see the frustration on the ice towards the end of the game, especially as the Checkers continued to pour on goals. We obviously saw their goaltender last night really not having a good time late in the game. There's a lot of frustration. The Checkers have to keep their cool tonight. Their game, they can beat Rochester with their game plan. There doesn't need to be stupid penalties or maybe cheap shots out there because we know Rochester is going to be bringing the heat. Keep your composure. Keep calm throughout the game. Play your game. I know that's a hockey cliche, but play your game. Get the pucks in deep. This team, as you said, we don't know if we've seen the ceiling of this team yet, and we might get close to that today.
Absolutely. I think along those same lines, one of Jordy's favorite phrases is let's get back to basics and play our game, much like you said. And in every single time this team goes on a run, it's generally because they're doing the little things right. Passing was great last night. I mean, I think of that Zach Dalpe goal towards the end of the game. Wilmer Skoog, what a shot.
Unbelievable.
To make it 6-0. This is going to be a Rochester team that's going to try and get you off your game, right? They're going to respond to getting beat 6-0. That's not an easy pill to swallow.
Right.
We'll see how they handle that here tonight. So there's a lot going on at the Bowplex. So if you're thinking about stepping outside and enjoying a great night, it's a little bit warmer out there today than it has been the last couple days, but come on out to Bojangles Coliseum. We've got a lot going on. There's actually 3 promos here tonight. It's Catterday to celebrate all of our feline friends. I know I'm a former cat owner. I love cats, so Catterday is an awesome game. Come on out and enjoy the festivities for that. Plus, we have our book drive. Everybody who brings in a kid's book will be gifted a ticket to the game on December 22nd, an absolutely free ticket for a future game later this month. So thank you to our friends at Bojangles for sponsoring this year's book drive. And also another Fairfield by Marriott. Going on ice. Who are your players to watch in this one, or your player to watch, I should say?
TJ, I'm going back to last night. Reese Gaber had a coming out performance last night. Jordy talked after the game of he knew what it felt like for Reese to be sent down to the ECHL, and it lit a fire in him. And he's been active on this team this year, finally rewarded on the score sheet yesterday and in a big way. And it wasn't just the goals. He could have had a few more assists as well. He was in the right spots at the right time, making clean, crisp passes. I'm looking for Reese Gaber to continue a heck of a weekend.
7 points in 12 games for the youngster so far this year. For me, I'm looking at a veteran guy, a former Rochester American at that, Rasmus Asplund. I know that he had a decent night last night with an assist, and he just had 2 goals against Iowa in the 3-0 win last Saturday. But he's one of those guys, when I talk about stars need to be stars, he's one of your most veteran forwards. He's one of your highest scoring forwards in the American Hockey League that you have left. I think between him, Leonard, Chris Colo, and Carrick, those guys are who I'm kind of referring to when your stars need to be stars. But I really want to see Rasmus Asplund go out there and kind of get things done here tonight. So he's my player to watch. If you're going to take a look at predictions, what do you think this final is going to be like?
I see a much lower scoring game, a physical game. I think the Checkers, obviously, like I said before, TJ, if they play their game plan, they can beat Rochester 9 times out of 10. And I think they'll do that tonight. I see a tight 2-1 game. A regulation win for the Checkers, but a 2-1 tight finish for the Charlotte Checkers.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be lower scoring. I came into last night, talking with members around the media, including yourself and just different people around the Coliseum, and I kind of kept saying things along the lines of it's going to be a tight game. That's what I expected to see last night, and we didn't get it. So I am expecting that to come tonight. I do think, like you, that the shutout streak is going to be broken. I do think it's going to be a closer game, but I'm going to go probably 4-2 Charlotte in this one. So that is my prediction. I think it's going to be a really tight game. It's going to be a lot of fun. we know that. There's been so many
Absolutely.
memories between the Charlotte Checkers and Rochester Americans just in the last, 3+ years that I've been here.
Right.
From the 11-1 game back in 2022 where the Checkers hung 11 on Rochester in this building, to the Queen City Outdoor Classic, which we were both part of last season, to, of course, last night's 6-0 win. I do think this is going to be a game that's going to pull out all the stops and sure be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great, and we're going to pack the Coliseum out because of the family packs. I think we're in for a great Saturday night of hockey in Charlotte.
Catterday Book Drive presented by Bojangles, and we also have our Fairfield by Marriott family night. Head to charlottecheckers.com to get your tickets and get on out here. Doors are opening up in about an hour and 45 minutes from now, so make sure you get on out to hang out with us here at the Bowplex. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Checkers Pregame Live. He's Miles Conrad. I'm TJ Chillot. Thank you all for joining us. Join us next time. We're going to be out here on the 21st of December for our next one, and that's a big night here at the
Huge
Coliseum. We'll see if maybe we can get a special guest to join us. We'll have to pull some strings.
We'll have to see.
We'll be on the air. Puck drop before every Saturday Charlotte Checkers home game. And we're to town on the 21st and 22nd. Enjoy us at Bojangles Coliseum. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you all here.